Today in our video, we're going to be making the game Touch the Red. As you can see in this game, we're controlling the blue ball and trying to get the smaller ball to touch our red line. It's a little bit of a challenging game, and I know some of you guys had some difficulty with it, so we're going to be addressing some tips and tricks that you guys can use to recreate your game if you need to. Alright, first things first is I've made sure I deleted my cat on the screen and I have a blank screen. I want to create two balls, one big ball that the user can use and one small ball which is part of the game. So we're going to click on this blue cat sprite and we're going to click on the magnifying glass. Instead of creating our own ball or circular shape, we're just going to use the ball sprite because it is by default perfectly circular, which means we're not going to have any issues later on in the game. Now there are 5 different colors of the balls you could choose, so choose whatever color you would like and delete the rest. So we only want one costume for our small ball. The only change we want to make to this ball is that when I select my select tool, click on my green ball, click on the outline, I want to create an outline that is completely black. 0 color, 0 saturation, and 0 brightness. Now an outline like this is very thin, it's not very visible, so we're going to click on this number and I'm going to make it a 7. A 7 thickness is a little bit better, but we can make this more. Again, you might need to click on the select tool, click on the ball, and then change the number to 7, which is an easier and more visual and visible outline. Thereafter, I'm going to repeat my step, click on the magnifying glass, and click on another ball, the same ball. Click on costumes, and I'm going to find a different color for my main player ball. It needs to be a different color because we don't want any of the colors to get mixed up later on. So we want to keep them very distinct, very different colors. Not only do I want to click on the select tool, click on the ball, and change my outline again to black, and create the thickness also into black, into a thick black. I also want to enlarge the second ball. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can change the size value over here. So we can try 250, which is a decently big ball. But we can also click on our ball and click on one of the corners. Click on the corners to properly do it. If you click on the side ones or the vertical ones, you're going to be stretching it and it will not remain as a perfect circle. So I'm going to zoom out. As you can tell, the little squares are getting tiny, my circle's getting tiny, and I can stretch my ball until it is the size I want. This size is way too big. We're going to make it smaller until it is, because we do need to add another red line here, so we're going to make it slightly more smaller. Okay. And then we're going to align this blue plus sign with this gray compass blue sign. We want to align them. They're going to naturally click together, which means it's going to be in the center of my canvas. Alright. The final feature I need to add to this ball is a straight line. This line is going to have a red outline. It does not have to be as thick as the outline of the ball, and then I'm just going to stretch it down. The red color didn't appear, so that's okay. I can just click on the select, click on the line I just created, and click on outline. Perfect. This is exactly what your screen should have. It should have a small ball, a big ball, and very thick black border lines. Now we're going to start coding. We're going to start coding with the big ball. So it says ball 2 here in my sprite. I'm going to name this big ball to make it clear for what I'm referencing, and the smaller ball, the green one, is going to be small ball. Whenever we're coding, we already know that our first piece of code is going to be when green flag clicks. I'm going to go into events, which is your yellow circle, and the first command when green flag click. After initiating the green flag, we need to tell the computer some basic information about our big ball. For example, what direction is it pointing in? What coordinates is it at? Now, I like the position that my ball is in right now. It's in the center of my screen, so I'm not going to move it around, but you might want to center it if it's not already centered. I'm going to grab the go to x blank y blank command, and I'm going to bring it right underneath my green flag. You are able to change the values inside here. You can make them 0, 0 if you want the exact center of the board. If you refresh it, it's going to change it a little bit, and that's good as well. The final thing I want to add under this sequence is going to be a point in direction 90. And this is really important because every single time a game starts, it needs to look like this. If the red ball is turned towards the right or turned towards the left in the beginning of the game, then the game is not going to be fair every single time it is played. So it's very important that we add point in direction 90. Now we're going to enable some arrow key features into our game. When we go into events, our fourth yellow circle, we're going to grab when space key pressed. Now space key pressed has this yellow, this white triangle in the middle of this yellow. We're going to click on it and we can select any keyboard key. I'm just going to be selecting the right arrow key and then clicking another space key press and click on the left arrow key. So we now have two when statements. Now when the right arrow key is clicked, remember this game is working with rotation, so we want our blue ball to rotate right and left. So when right arrow key is pressed, we're going to go into motion, because this is another movement, and we're going to grab our 15 degrees clockwise as well as our 15 degrees anti-clockwise. And this one is where this is the point where you want to think about, okay, when right arrow key is clicked, it means my ball turns this way, which that is the anti-clockwise way. And when the left arrow key is clicked, I want to go in the clockwise direction. The final thing I want to mention here on this page with this big ball is that we need to create a variable. The second last circle is titled variables, and you are going to click on make a variable. We're going to call the variable roll. And it's for all sprites, and I'm just going to click OK. Roll is going to appear up here in the corner, and you're going to notice that instead of saying set roll to 0, change roll by 1, it says set my variable because it has a default variable called my variable. So whenever we grab set my variable, we're just going to click on it and it's going to show us other variables. It's going to say rename variable or delete my variable. In fact, we can do that as well. Now we have set roll to 0 and we're going to bring that up here. We are going to grab a change roll by 1 and a change roll by 1. Now when the right arrow key is clicked, that's going anti-clockwise, that is going in the negative direction. So we're going to create change roll by a -2. And for the left arrow key, we're going to have change roll by a +2. And we're going to click these underneath our when statements. This is all the code we need for our big ball. We're going to explain what the roll does exactly, this variable roll, in our next video when we work on the small ball.